If you are currently unhappy with your life, feeling like it has no meaning, or worrying that you went down the wrong path, then this video is for you. My life has drastically changed in the past year and a half. Just a year and a half ago, I was living in Florida. I was still in college, living with my roommate and finishing up my industrial engineering degree. Since then, I have moved from Florida all the way to Washington, D.C., away from all of my friends and family. I have gotten married, moved in with my husband, started my 9-to-5 job that I ultimately ended up hating. I have quit that job, started cat sitting through Rover, shopping for Instacart, and making YouTube videos. I have grown this community to over 1,000 people. I've learned more about myself than I ever have in my past 24 years. I have discovered my true values and actually understood what they meant for me, and I've started coaching others to be able to do the same in their own life. It would be easy for me to look back on my life and all of this change and think, what happened to you? Or why did you do this? Or how did things go so wrong? Why did you waste that time on that degree? What was the point of all of those mistakes? And how much money have you wasted in your life on things that didn't pan out the way you planned? And sometimes those thoughts still do creep up, but I have consistently chosen a different way of thinking, one that has helped me trust myself unconditionally, gain so much respect for myself, and helped me to listen to my inner voice. All things I was not doing and had no clue how to do just a few years ago. So today I'm going to be sharing the 3 most life-changing perspective shifts that have gotten me through all of the change that has happened in my life. The first one is time invested versus time wasted. The concept is to start viewing all of your time, every single minute, as time that's either invested or wasted. And time invested would be time that you spend on things that will provide a greater outcome for you in the future in whatever way that is. So for example, this could be time getting your degree, growing and nurturing your relationships with friends or your partner, reading more books, or the time spent making YouTube videos like I'm doing right now, versus time wasted, which has no outcome at all. There's nothing to benefit you from the outcome of the time that you have spent on the task. So this could be scrolling on TikTok mindlessly, binging Netflix shows for no reason. And if you're thinking to yourself, well, I don't want to be productive 100% of the time, not everything needs to be an investment into my life, and I think it's okay to watch TV mindlessly sometimes, then hear me out, you're not wrong, and I completely agree with you. The difference is the intention and the reflection. So time invested could be different for every single person. The things I just listed as time investments may to you be time wasted, and the things that I listed as time wasted might be time invested for you. Time investments aren't always about productivity and money. It's about things that bring value to you in your life, things that you view as worth your time. If it's worth the time to you, then it's an investment. If it's not worth the time and you think back on that time and go, why was I doing that? Why was I spending time on that? Then it's probably time wasted. For example, you might view binge watching Netflix as a way to decompress. It helps calm you down, helps you go to sleep at night. For you, that might be time invested. Scrolling on TikTok might be something you do to gain insight about TikTok trends to work on your business. Again, time invested. Time spent getting a college degree might be, to you, time wasted. You don't see the value in getting a college degree. You don't want a college degree. So for you, that would not be time invested. So you can see it really just depends on the person and how you view your time. The whole point of this perspective shift is getting used to reflecting on the time that you spent and being intentional about the time that you still have going forward. And this same concept can be applied to money. So you can look at money as either invested or wasted. Money that's invested could be in obvious things like the stock market, real estate. It could also be in less obvious things like more high quality clothing instead of fast fashion pieces, or in a dining experience instead of getting takeout food for convenience. You get the idea. And then money wasted could be purchasing something that loses a ton of its value the moment that you buy it, money spent on credit card interest. And again, this is about intention and reflection. These things will be different for everyone. Things that you view as money invested will be very different than what I view money invested. And it can vary from the specific situation or experience. It might be worth it for you to invest in a new camera to start a YouTube channel, even if that means having to charge it on a credit card and potentially paying interest on it. For all you know, that one camera purchase could end up exploding into an entire career for you. There's really no way to know, and it's really up to you to decide what is money invested and money wasted and what is worth putting your money towards. Make sure you stay tuned for perspective shift number 3 because it builds on this shift. But first, let's move on to perspective shift shift number 2. Every decision you've made was the best decision you could have made with the information that you had at that point in time. This is by far one of my favorite quotes. I feel like I say it on this channel a lot, but I think it's so important. The reality of life is that hindsight is 20/20. You can always look back on decisions that you've made or things that have happened in your life and say, wow, I should have done that differently, or I should have done XYZ so that wouldn't have happened. But that's no way to live your life. And in my opinion, if you view life this way, it is the number one way to set yourself up to not trust yourself anymore. If you're always looking back on your past decisions with regret and telling yourself you should have known better, you're gonna lose your self-confidence, you're not gonna be able to trust yourself anymore, and you're gonna be unable to make any decisions for yourself in the future. You'll find yourself seeking advice from anyone else but yourself. You will be asking people whose values don't even line up with yours. And the problem with this is you'll find yourself blaming other people in your life for your own decisions, because if they don't pan out in a positive way, or the decision that you made based off of someone else's opinion actually ended up with a negative outcome, you're going to have someone to blame for it. Whereas on the flip side, being able to look back on your decisions and knowing and trusting that the decision that you made at that time was truly the best decision that you could have made. You took the information you had, you made a conscious, intentional decision, and then learning to take responsibility for the potential consequences from that decision while also still being kind and gentle to yourself is the most mature version of self-love there is, in my opinion. And now, perspective shift number 3. Each part of your life, the good and the bad, are a precursor to the next chapter of your life. This is probably the biggest perspective shift in this video. It's basically a deeper version of everything happens for a reason, because in my opinion, the truth is not everything happens for a specific reason, but each thing that does happen in your life does cause a chain reaction of events afterwards. So to embody this perspective shift, there's 2 major steps. The first one is to take a decision that you made in your life and focus on all of the things that have happened because of that decision. There are probably hundreds of things that have happened off of just literally one decision in your life, but try to focus on the most important ones. So for example, my decision to go to college and get an engineering degree. Do I regret that decision? No, I don't, because I started dating my husband while I was in college, and if I hadn't gone to college and gotten that degree, we never would have started dating and we would not be together today. Also, going to college allowed me to move out on my own, gain my own independence, and become the person that I am today. And lastly, 100% no, I don't regret it, because getting that degree allowed me to get the job that I had for a little bit over a year, which supported me financially while I started this business, started this YouTube channel. It's how I paid for the camera that I'm literally recording on right now. It's how I afford this apartment, because I had a lot of savings from that job. It literally set me up financially to be where I am today. And if I hadn't gone to college to do that, I would not have that experience. So if you can't tell, all of the things I listed are ways that that specific decision impacted me personally. And that brings us right into step 2, which is now looking at all of the ways that that decision impacted other people in a positive way. So again, focusing on my decision to go to college and get my degree, how did that impact others? Well, it allowed me to get the job I got, then decide to quit that job and realize all of the things that that job had that did not reflect my values. I now have the experience of going to college, getting the 9-to-5 corporate job and being unhappy with it, and coming out on the other side. And that's something that I now can share with others. It's what I share here on my YouTube channel. It's what my entire course is about. I was able to leave that job, reflect on all of these things, and look back and see how I wish I could have done it differently, not from a place of regret, but from a place of reflection, saying, if I can share this experience with other people so that they don't have to go through the same growing pains I did, they will have a much better experience. Other ways that my decision to go to college impacted others was I was able to move up here to Washington, D.C., which actually allowed me to live closer to my best friend Kaylee that lives in New Jersey, and we have been long distance best friends since we were in 7th grade. So we have been able to spend more time together in the past year than we ever spent probably all the years combined that we lived in completely different states. Now that one kind of is a positive impact on me and on her, but again, I'm focusing on the positive impact on her, which maybe that's a little selfish, but I know that she appreciates me being up here. And then the last one is me having this job up here allowed Oliver to move up to Washington, D.C. and be able to live up here for a much more reasonable price, because we were living together and we were using mainly my salary to be able to pay for our rent and our expenses here in a place that is extremely expensive, by the way. And the reason that's a positive impact on him is he's been able to work at hospitals hospitals in DC and work directly with doctors that are endorsed by George Washington University, which have provided him with great connections and great people to get letters of recommendation from for his medical school applications. This is something that he would not have had if we stayed in Florida. No offense, Florida. I'm sure that any doctors he worked with there were great and would have been great letters of rec, but I think that having letters of rec from GWU will be much more beneficial for him in his process of applying for schools. So this perspective shift may have you thinking back to the first one. If we're looking at everything from a positive lens and seeing every decision in our life as something that has caused a positive impact on either ourselves or others based off the chain reactions from that decision, is any time actually ever wasted? I think the short answer is yes, there's definitely time that you will still consider as wasted time. Once you've gotten to a place where you're not wasting a ton of time on things that you view as worthless, so for me, scrolling on social media, binge watching TV shows, those are probably the two most time-wasting activities that I ever engage in. You can begin to shift your mindset to time invested versus time spent. Because the interesting thing is, if you view time as just invested or wasted, you'll realize that sometimes you invest your time in something that ends up not actually reaping any sort of benefit. So it's kind of just like the stock market, right? You might invest your time into an activity that proves to give you nothing. For example, I might spend hours creating a specific YouTube video for my community and it totally bombs. No one likes it. It's just whatever. No one really cares. Or I might start reading a new book that I hear about from a creator I love to find that it's information I've already read somewhere else and I wasted time reading information that I really didn't need to read. On the other hand, sometimes we spend our time on things that doesn't feel like an investment initially, but at the end of the day, it ends up reaping some sort of positive reward. So it actually was invested time. It's just not in the typical way that we view time invested. So for example, time that I spend doing cat sitting is not something that I would initially consider invested time. It's time that gives me money to pay our bills right now, but it's not something I see providing a future impact on my life, right? I'm just doing it to make ends meet, to pay the bills, and eventually I want to stop doing it once the more beneficial things that I'm working towards pay off in the future. I've actually met so many amazing people from doing cat sitting that live right around me in Washington, DC, and these people might end up being someone that I keep in touch with for a really long time. So what I initially view as just time spent to get money to pay our bills could end up being time invested in potential future relationships that I build through this job. So the truth is, once you have a good habit of never wasting your time and you're only spending your time on things that you consider an investment, almost all of your time can be looked at as an investment in some way. You can usually uncover a positive outcome from literally everything you do in your life and everything you invest your time in, if you're willing to take the time to reflect and find it. So that is all I have for you in today's video. I really hope these perspective shifts were beneficial for you. I want to hear down in the comments down below one decision in your life that you have made that you initially viewed as a negative thing that only brought negative outcomes, but after watching this video, you now are able to see the positive outcome that it had either on yourself or on someone else. Leave those reflections down in the comments below for us all to read. I think it'll be a really inspiring comment section if we all share just one thing that we now view in a positive light. But that is all I have for you guys today. I will see you on Thursday with another video. Bye.